Chad Reynolds, and we're here at Racepak in Rancho Santa Margarita, where Tim Anderson is going to give us a tour of the headquarters of Racepak. This 12,000 square foot building houses 29 employees. They handle everything from design, engineering, manufacturing, and production, all the way down to sales, tech support, and shipping. Tim Anderson, Racepak's general manager, met with me to teach me some of the company's history and show me where it's going. Good history on the table.
Absolutely. It's right here in front of us, 30 years worth. The company began with, this system right here was actually built for offshore oil rigs to monitor data, just the same as a race car. They progressed from there into drag racing. Kenny Bernstein kind of got wind of what they were building for one of the owners' unlimited hydro boat. He said, hey, I want to put that on a fuel car. It went on Kenny's funny car, and next thing you know, they've got a paper printer and a data recorder, and they're spitting out information left and right, and the car goes 300 miles an hour. We moved from there into snowmobiles, of all things. Most people don't know we were heavily involved in the snowmobile market. As we move on down the table here, you'll find we're moving more into actual true sleek, small design data recorders that was found on the fuel funny cars and dragsters. We move into what's called the SC1000. That actually was their first step out into pushing out into classes such as Pro Stock and that type of market, to where you didn't have the larger nitro data loggers. As we move on down the line, we move into now the Pro 2 data recorders. That's for the nitro cars. At this point in history, we actually now move into the VNet era. The VNet era is the CAN bus systems. You know, we've talked a lot about it before. You can go to racepak.com and see the videos. The plug-and-play simplicity of the sensors, they snap together with modules, the dash, the data recorder, all just connect up on a single cable. That technology allowed us to move into more of the sportsman-oriented drag racing, along with closed course market also. As we move through the product line here, now we move into the GPS era of Racepak. These 2 or 3 products, the first GPS-enabled data recorders for motorsports, that was for NASCAR itself. From the NASCAR data logger, it's kind of begat this entry-level closed course data logger, which now allowed us to quickly expand into the closed course market. And that closed course data recorder contained the first removable memory compact flash card. And then that moves us into, I guess what you would say, the removable memory SD era of Racepak, which is the G2X Pro, which is a closed course data logger with GPS. Then we went to the V300 SD, and then the G2X, and the Sportsman. So that product line all contained SD memory cards. It makes it a lot easier to download, pull the card out, shove it in, and away you go. Then we move into more of what we consider, I guess, the controls aspect of Racepak. When we introduce the Smart Wire, it actually allows you to eliminate fuses and relays and control everything electronically. Then as we move past the Smart Wire, we move into what's called, I guess, the Bluetooth era of Racepak, where now we're communicating with Bluetooth. These are the high-end data recorders we have. Still have the SD memory card, but you can use Bluetooth to program the data recorder and download.
30 years, right there.
There you go.
Now, how do they get put together? Because that's what I want to see.
Well, let's go take a look. Before we go back in the production area, I want to take you back and let you see what actually goes on here behind the scenes as far as how we get from concept to actual completion and shipping of a product.
In order to build a new data recorder, you got to build the hardware. And step 1 starts with an electrical engineer creating a PC board.
Our engineer uses Altium to lay the boards out on. He'll come up with the design, the components that's needed, the traces and everything. Once he completes that, then we'll send the board out to get some prototypes in, bring them back, and then we start the testing process.
Okay, so once the design is finalized and everybody's given their approval, then where does it go from there?
Well, we'll go back and take a look at the actual design of the hardware in terms of the housing. For example, if you're building a new dash, you'll need a housing, you'll need a mold if it's an injection molding housing. So you'll go back in the mechanical engineering department area, and that's where you actually work on the layout of the housing design, the data logger design, the module, whatever it may be. A lot of things have to go in place, and this has to be highly accurate in terms of the design itself and the final assembly.
You have to think about things beyond a normal consumer electronic, let's say. I mean, you're talking about incredible vibration, you're talking about electrical noise.
All the things that go with it is an extreme environment, any type of motorsports, race cars, like I said, motorcycles, boats, all that, put it to the test in terms of the design. So you got to be pretty much dead on. That 30 years that we talked about earlier, 30 years of experience actually goes into every product, because what you find is once a bad product gets out or a faulty product gets out, it could be the end of your company.
So this is the department that looks like a science fair project.
Exactly, and that's kind of what it is if you look around. This is actually where the hardcore engineering takes place, the nerve, so to speak, of Racepak.
Do these guys actually have something to do with the new features of all the products, or are they the ones that are getting the wish list and determining whether that's feasible?
Yeah, that's actually how it goes, because what ends up happening, we take ideas from the field, we take ideas from the guys out on the front lines, so to speak, and then the head of engineering in here will actually say, you know, we'll put it together, we'll come together in a meeting and we'll say, yeah, that's viable, or no, that's not, that's going to cost $1 million, it's impossible to make it happen.
So how many features that are in the current, let's say, V500 SD were things that these guys told you couldn't happen 10 years ago?
Quite a few of them, and if you look at our future product line, what you'll find is just like cell phones. You think back about your first cell phone was this big, and now you have a cell phone that has GPS and has all these functions in it that'll fit in your pocket. Same thing with data recorders, just like we were talking earlier about the Bluetooth. You know, now you can fit it into a data recorder and it works like it's supposed to.
Once the engineering team greenlights a product, the sales and customer support staff gets busy getting them out to racers, which is somehow very appropriate since the sales and support team at Racepak is made up of racers themselves.
One of the things we really pride ourselves on is the fact that the guys answering the phones are not order takers, and they're not reading from a manual telling you how to fix a problem that if you had the manual you could read and do it yourself. When our customers call in, they're going to get someone that has been under the car working on the thing at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's seen these problems happen over and over and over, and they know how to relate to it. And that's really, really important in this industry, because the customer sees right through that in a heartbeat.
Well, and if they give a call and they order up a part, now do we get to go see how they actually
We get to go see how they build it now. Let's go.
So this is where everything actually gets put together.
This is where we actually put the components together, and you'll see that we're not just talking about getting boards in here and putting a decal on them, but actually manufacturing, soldering, ultrasonically welding, putting connectors on, pins on, putting everything together. In this case, you're familiar with the VNAP modules, and we're at 130-some thousand serial number on the VNAP modules. Each one is individually programmed, ultrasonically welded, and tested here in-house. So you can imagine 130-some thousand times that's went up and down and welded and been programmed over there and imprinted.
Highly experienced technicians hand assemble all of Racepak's product lines, allowing for a very high level of quality control. That quality continues in a special department where every individual order gets configured, assembled, and tested before being shipped off to the customer.
This is where the magic happens. When you order a drag race system or pulling system or any system that is going to be pre-programmed and sent to you like that, what we do is we'll pull all the individual components just as if it's put on the race car itself. All the VNet cables, all the RPM inputs are connected up, the pressures, the temperatures are all tested, and it's actually cycled through and everything's checked. So again, we build in redundancy in the aspect of testing every sensor. Now we're testing every sensor again, and the data recorder. If you have a dash, we'll program the dash per your specs or the way it defaults. We set up a default setting for some classes, that type of stuff. So again, when this data system goes out, we know for a fact everything's working.
And it's not just the average Joes who get this special treatment at Racepak. It turns out that the pro drag racers have their own department as well. Todd Payton, who's raced alcohol and nitro cars for decades and has also acted as crew chief, heads up this department. And you see more craziness probably than anybody else.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, we get to see, you see those exciting explosions on TV, all the neat stuff when these cars are going 300 miles an hour and hopefully getting to the finish line in one piece, but they don't always do that. I mean, I might be speaking from personal experience, but I've also seen an awful lot. And so what happens is obviously they get the data that they can get off the cars, and then we get some cable repairs, some component repairs. I have some clutch linears I've been working on from some cars that have tried to heat treat a few of the sensors that we use and repair them and get them back in action for the race this coming week.
The last stop on the tour before the warehouse is the repair department.
While we try to ensure that everything works correctly going out the door, you're still going to have people cutting cables, breaking sensors, and you're going to have failures. No one's perfect, no product's perfect, and we don't claim that. Everything works to the best of our ability, but there are failures sometimes. So we have boats that go underwater, we'll pull the boards out and actually fix those wet boards too. So we go to every effort to be able to do that for the customer. One of the things about our products is you can repair them for the most part. They're not potted, so it allows us to get back into the board, pull off components that are bad, put new ones on and send it on its way, and a lot of times that saves you from having to buy a new $6,000, $7,000 data logger and system.
Each and every part that comes in for repair gets taken apart completely with all systems and components tested before being put back together and sent back to you just in time for the next race.
As we walk out into this area, what you're going to find, the warehouse area actually contains a number of different work cells, so to speak. You have the injection molding area, you have a machining center, you have a pre-production area, and you have the receiving, the shipping, and you have the raw and finished goods.
So really this area out here has some of the stuff from the very beginning and the very end before it goes out the door to the customer.
Absolutely, and one of the things that a lot of people are surprised to find out, we do a lot of machining in-house. We do a lot of things in-house once you get back on this side of the building, such as injection molding of V-neck cables, the gaskets that go on the V-neck modules, just a number of different things like that.
Okay, so now we have a giant tub of finished products.
Exactly. We've seen the design, we've seen the manufacturing, we've seen the testing, we've seen the sales and tech support and repair area. Once it makes it out here, it goes into a box, nicely packaged, foamed, protected, taped up, and shipped out to the customer.
So all of these people whose boxes are in here are soon to be happy because it's going to be like Christmas from Racepak.
It's always like Christmas when a box shows up from Racepak.